Hey guys, before I continue, I'd like to mention our sale over at Fantasy Sabers. With every order, we're giving away a free electronic light up stand. Sale ends at the end of March. Back to the video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another fanfiction. Everyone knows that Mace Windu wasn't very fond of Anakin, and I'd go as far as to say he was jealous of all the attention Anakin received as the chosen one. Mace always believed that he was more powerful than Anakin, and didn't believe in the idea that Anakin was destined to bring balance to the Force. And to his credit, he was the most powerful Jedi of his era, likely even rivaling Yoda during the Clone Wars. This is in part due to his personal lightsaber style that he developed and perfected, called VAAPAD, which is a variant of Form 7. VAAPAD essentially allows a lightsaber user to use a dark side user's energy against them, which renders any advantage that the dark side may have as useless. This was achievable by Mace because he always walked a thin line between good and evil. There was always a lot of darkness in him, and this is exactly like Anakin. So what if, during the Clone Wars, Windu decided to teach Anakin how to use VAAPAD and simultaneously control his emotions? The Clone Wars had only raged for a year when a mission on Mygeeto went terribly wrong, shifting Mace Windu's entire perception of Anakin Skywalker. The Republic had been on the verge of victory, their forces pushing the Separatists back, when Anakin, consumed by frustration at the slow advance, broke formation and led a reckless charge straight into enemy lines. Clone troopers caught between orders and loyalty followed him. What should have been a decisive victory turned into chaos. Anakin let his anger take over. Expecting a frontal assault, the droid army unleashed a devastating counterattack, cutting down entire squads before reinforcements could arrive. Mace had watched from a ridge as Anakin, in a fit of rage, cut through the battlefield with terrifying precision, his strikes fueled by something far more dangerous than discipline. By the time the battle was over, Anakin had won. But at what cost? Hundreds of clones lay dead, casualties of his impatience. In the aftermath, Windu confronted him. "Do you even realize what you've done?" he demanded, but Anakin barely looked shaken. "We won," was his only response, as if the outcome justified the means. That was when Windu knew Anakin wasn't just powerful, he was volatile. His emotions ruled him, and if something didn't change, it would only be a matter of time before that fire consumed him completely. The Jedi had spent years trying to suppress Anakin's anger, trying to force him into the mold of a perfect Jedi, but it wasn't working. Windu knew, perhaps better than anyone, that some emotions couldn't be buried, they had to be controlled, and there was only one technique that might work: VAAPAD, the lightsaber form that Windu had spent years perfecting, a style not designed to reject the darkness, but to channel it, to turn an opponent's aggression back against them. It was dangerous and perhaps even reckless, but Windu had seen enough. If Anakin wasn't trained to control his emotions, he would eventually be ruled by them, which is a path to the dark side. When he brought the idea to the Jedi Council, the reaction was instant. Yoda's ears flattened, his expression unreadable.
A dangerous path, this is.
Others outright opposed it. "VAAPAD is too close to the dark side," Ki-Adi-Mundi argued. "Anakin is already reckless. Teaching him this will only make it worse." But Windu wasn't convinced. The Jedi had been trying to contain Anakin's fire for years, but it was time to reach him how to wield it instead. At first, Anakin was skeptical. VAAPAD was Mace Windu's technique, his personal form against the darkness. What did it offer to him? He had mastered Form 5, his strength in combat was already undeniable, and the idea of learning a technique so dangerously close to the dark side felt like an unspoken admission that something was wrong with him. But the more Windu spoke of it, the more it gnawed away at him. VAAPAD isn't about fighting harder, it's about control. You don't suppress your anger, you use it, direct it, you decide what it fuels. Control, that's what finally convinced him. Not power. He had enough of that, and not skill. He was already amongst the greatest duelists in the Order. But control, that was something that had always eluded him. So he committed. The training was brutal, and Windu didn't go easy on him. And for the first time in years, Anakin struggled to keep up. VAAPAD wasn't just about speed and aggression. It was a state of mind. A balance between fury and discipline, between darkness and light. And it demanded absolute focus. Windu never let him forget that. Lose yourself in anger and you're already defeated. The lessons extended beyond combat. Windu and Anakin were pretty much placed on every mission together from then on out. And on these missions, Windu forced Anakin to lead with patience, to think before he act, to see the bigger picture instead of rushing in with a lightsaber. It was frustrating at first. Anakin hated feeling held back, but slowly something changed. He started to understand Windu in a way he never had before. The man who had once been nothing but cold authority now felt like something more, a mentor, a guide. And Windu in turn began to see Anakin for who he truly was. Not just the reckless warrior, not just the dubbed chosen one, but a man who had been struggling against his own demons since the day he set foot in the Jedi Temple. He saw the weight of expectations, the fear, the pain that Anakin never spoke of but carried in every battle. And for the first time, Windu wasn't just watching him from afar, waiting for him to fail. He was standing beside him, making sure he wouldn't. But the darkness didn't disappear. If anything, the closer Anakin came to mastering VAAPAD, the more he felt it pressing against his mind, whispering to him in every moment of anger, in every battle where he let himself go just a little too far. The line between control and surrender blurred, and no matter how much he was trained, no matter how much Windu guided him, the same question always lingered. Was he truly mastering the darkness? Or was he just delaying the inevitable? The bond between them deepened in ways neither had expected. For the first time in his life, Anakin found someone in the Jedi Order who truly understood the war raging inside of him, and Anakin had not expected that person to be Mace Windu. He confided in Windu whenever he felt a surge of anger or emotion. Over the course of the months, Windu began to understand Anakin more and empathize with him. Windu thought to himself that if the Jedi were not dogmatic in their ways, maybe their reach could have extended to the Outer Rim, and they would have found Anakin earlier. So instead of chastising him or warning him of the dangers of attachment, Windu listened. He told Anakin of his own struggles, of how he spent years walking the edge, never letting himself fall. VAAPAD isn't a weapon to embrace the darkness. It's a way to keep it in check. You either master it or it masters you. This was why the council didn't like it, because you were making yourself prey to the dark side. As Anakin pushed further and came to master VAAPAD, the color of Skywalker's lightsaber changed, and it matched Windu's as a purple amethyst. This symbolized his transformation, and Windu was very proud and pleased to have Anakin share this rare color with him. Alongside his purple blade, Anakin also discovered a new power from mastering his emotions. It happened during a routine skirmish when a droid leapt at him from the smoke, as he was channeling his abilities and new understanding of the Force from VAAPAD. His body suddenly reacted, and a streak of yellow lightning shot from his hand, obliterating the droid instantly. The energy left him shaken, but also exhilarated. He had heard of such an ability before. Plo Koon had used it, but no other Jedi that he had heard of wielded it with such precision. And so he reached out to Plo Koon, and Plo agreed to help him refine the technique, guiding him through the intricacies of electrical judgment, warning him of the fine line between justice and destruction. Anakin practiced relentlessly, mastering it faster than even Plo expected, weaving it into his combat alongside VAAPAD, becoming something the battlefield had never seen before. Together, he and Windu became legends of the Clone Wars, an unstoppable force against the Separatists. Their victories reshaped entire campaigns, and even the clones whispered about them. The two Jedi generals who moved as one, whose power was unmatched. Anakin found himself fighting not just with strength, but with control and purpose. Windu no longer saw him as the reckless boy or a danger waiting to explode. He saw him as a warrior, a brother in arms, someone he could trust and even rely on. But the fear never left him. He had seen the way Anakin fought, how easily he could slip into fury, and how much he enjoyed the power VAAPAD gave him. How his electrical judgment became a power of instinct rather than restraint. Windu knew deep down that if Anakin ever lost himself, if he ever let the darkness fully take hold, nothing in the galaxy would be able to stop him. And so, he remained watchful, always. Anakin and Windu were sent to Malastare to repel the invading Separatist forces. The battle was fierce, pushing them to their limits, but their combined strength eventually secured victory for the Republic. However, in the process, they unknowingly unleashed a long-thought extinct creature, the Zillo Beast. Towering and nearly indestructible, the creature was subdued and transported to Coruscant for study, to hide impervious even to lightsabers. Eager to turn this discovery into an advantage, the Republic sought to harness its natural armor for warship reinforcements, but their plans backfired. The Zillo Beast broke free, rampaging through Coruscant, leaving destruction in its waste. Entire districts were reduced to rubble, thousands perished, and the city world was plunged into chaos as the Republic scrambled to contain the unstoppable force they had foolishly tried to control. This excited Palpatine a lot. The Chancellor knew through speaking with Anakin that any hopes of turning him to the dark side was now done, because he had mastered his control through VAAPAD. And not only that, he knew the darkness within him was now his advantage. He had to change tactics. He needed a different way to take down the Jedi. But after seeing the Zillo Beast in action, he believed this was the way. Traveling back to Malastare, he ordered the Separatists to begin an extensive underground search, detonating explosives to uncover any surviving Zillo Beasts buried beneath the surface. After months of relentless excavation, they unearthed 3 more, living relics from a forgotten age. Sidious transported them to a top-secret facility where he would bend them to his will, but control proved elusive. His initial methods, pain, electrocution, and relentless conditioning, failed completely. The creatures resisted, impervious to his attempts to break them. Frustrated but undeterred, he realized the solution lay in the Force itself. Standing before them, he reached out, pressing his palm against their massive foreheads, whispering into their minds through the dark side, weaving his influence deep within their instincts. Slowly, over the course of months, he built a persuasive bond, feeding them promises of safety while corrupting their very nature. And when the process was finally complete, the Zillo Beasts were no longer wild creatures, they were weapons. Palpatine knew the Republic's capital was a necessary sacrifice, a mere stepping stone to the birth of his empire. In secret, he made preparations to relocate his operations, ensuring that when the time came, he would not be caught in the devastation that he was planning. As the Clone Wars reached their breaking point and the galaxy was drowning in chaos and distrust, he made his move. With ruthless precision, he released the Zillo Beast on Coruscant, the colossal beings bringing doom to Coruscant. Buildings crumbled, flames engulfed entire districts, and thousands perished in mere moments. But Sidious did not merely watch, he led the attack himself, sitting atop one of the Zillo Beasts as it tore through the capital. And at the peak of the chaos, he executed Order 66. The Jedi, who were already struggling to contain the beasts, were now blindsided as their own clone troopers turned against them. The streets ran red with the blood of Jedi and civilians alike, the mighty temple no longer a beacon of peace but a battlefield. The Jedi Council gathered in the war room, the air thick with urgency as the ground trembled from the carnage outside. Coruscant was burning, the roars of the Zillo Beast shaking the city to its foundation. The destruction was catastrophic, the Jedi Temple under siege, and the Republic crumbling under the weight of Sidious's final gambit. Windu stood at the center of it all. The dogs warned us these creatures are vulnerable to high concentrations of energy. We exploit that weakness. His gaze settled on Anakin and Plo. You two will use your electrical judgment to weaken the beast's armor. Once their defenses fall, we strike. There was no time for debate, no room for hesitation. Every moment they wasted costed more lives. Anakin met Windu's gaze and nodded, his hands clenched into fists as he prepared himself for the battle ahead. Plo Koon also agreed. The battle was relentless. Anakin and Plo took point, gold and lightning crackling from their fingertips, striking the towering creatures with wave after wave of searing energy. The first beast roared in agony, its impenetrable hide beginning to falter as the sheer force of their combined power overwhelmed its natural defenses. Windu was a blur of motion, his purple blade a streak of light as he leapt onto the weakened titan, his strikes precise, methodical, and merciless. His saber plunged deep into its exposed flesh,
cutting through the cracks in its armor until the beast let out a final, air-splitting wail and collapsed. But there was no time to celebrate. Another Zillo Beast turned on them, its massive tail whipping through the battlefield, flattening entire buildings in its wake. Anakin barely managed to somersault out of the way, landing in a crouch before thrusting both hands forward, sending another blast of golden energy surging through the air. Plo mirrored his movements, their combined power forcing the monster to its knees. Windu moved in for the kill, his blade slicing in a blur, and with one final devastating stroke, the second beast fell. The ground shook as its massive form crashed into the ruins of Coruscant, but the fight wasn't over. The last Zillo Beast remained, the largest of them all, and on its back stood Sidious himself, his black robes billowing, his eyes gleaming with pure hatred. He had orchestrated this chaos, and now he watched from this perch like a god of destruction, reveling in the terror he had unleashed. The Jedi barely had time to react before the Sith Lord raised a clawed hand, and with the flick of a wrist, the beast let out an unearthing roar, charging forward and crushing everything in its path.
You cannot stop what has already begun.
Sidious bellowed, his voice carrying over the mayhem, filled with dark amusement. Anakin's grip tightened on his saber. We'll see about that. He and Plo raised their hands again, twin streams of golden lightning slamming into the beast's skull. It recoiled, its thick armor beginning to crack as it howled in agony. Sidious snarled, leaping from its back and landing with unnatural grace before them, his hands erupting with searing blue lightning.
Enough of this.
He unleashed a devastating blast directly at Plo Koon, who had just enough time to react before the Sith lightning struck him with full force. His body convulsed, and his screams drowned out by the crackling energy tearing through him. Anakin moved to intercept, but it was already too late. Plo Koon was dead. Sidious merely laughed.
One Jedi less to concern ourselves with.
Windu's voice was ice cold.
You'll pay for that.
And then they struck. Anakin and Windu lunged at Sidious, their sabers flashing in unison, the battle beginning in full force. Sidious was a whirlwind of dark power, his crimson blade clashing against theirs in rapid succession, his speed almost unnatural. Every strike of his was filled with malice, every movement designed to kill. But Windu had mastered the darkness, and Anakin had walked its edge his entire life. VAAPAD thrived in this chaos, absorbing Sidious's raw fury and turning it against him. Windu's blade moved faster than sight, Anakin marching his pace, their combined assault relentless. Sidious snarled in frustration as every attack he made was countered. Every ounce of darkness he unleashed was redirected, twisted back against them. His footwork faltered, his defenses slipping, and then Windu saw his opening. A final devastating strike sent Sidious staggering back, his guard fully broken. Anakin wasted no time. His saber found its mark and cut through Palpatine's heart. Sidious let out a gasp, his eyes open with disbelief as his body crumbled to the ground. The Sith Lord was defeated. But there was no time to process what had happened. The Jedi Temple was still under siege and clones still slaughtering their brothers and sisters. Anakin and Windu didn't hesitate. They sprinted through the chaos, cutting down every clone in their path, rallying the remaining Jedi. The battle raged on, but for the last time, the Jedi had hope. The Republic's darkest night had come, but it would not be its last. With Sidious dead, the tide of the battle shifted, and the Jedi, fighting alongside the surviving members of the Council, rallied together to defend the temple. The clones fought to kill every last Jedi, but the Jedi fought harder, pushing them back and cutting through their ranks with precision and determination. The clones would all be destroyed, and the Jedi and Republic would win. Victory was won, but at a cost. Grandmaster Yoda in his final moments had sacrificed himself protecting the younglings, falling to a squad of clones who overwhelmed him in the chaos. In the aftermath, as the Republic rebuilt, Bail Organa was elected as Chancellor, ensuring a future of peace and democracy, free from the grip of the Sith. The Jedi Order, though wounded, endured, with Mace Windu stepping forward as Grand Master, leading them into a new era. Anakin Skywalker was granted the rank of Master and a seat on the Council, finally earning the respect he had fought so long for. Coruscant healed, the Republic stood strong, and with Padme at his side, Anakin finally knew peace. The war was over, the Jedi Order had survived, and the galaxy at last was safe.
Ignite your imagination with Fantasy Sabers.
Thank you all for watching today's video. Please check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, where you can get your very own NeoPixel saber for an affordable price and fulfill your childhood dreams of becoming a Jedi or Sith. Also check out our membership platform to be able to watch our videos early, and may the Force be with you.